So you spend a little more time cleaning out your own brain, compartmentalizing carefully while you're on shift, and then emptying out all of those compartments when you get home so that you can enjoy your work and find the satisfaction of doing good without being one bad call away from the end of your career.
Sounds right.
Welcome to In Service, the EMS Podcast, where frontline experience meets leadership insight. Hosted by Jason Falvey, a seasoned paramedic and EMS leader with over 30 years in the field. This show brings you conversations with people shaping emergency medical services today. From street-level medics to innovators on the bleeding edge of EMS, we dive into real stories, leadership strategies, and what it takes to build high-performing teams in high-stakes environments. Let's get in service.
We copy you down, Eagle.
Today's guests are two seasoned paramedics whose combined experience represents decades of patient care, mentorship, critical decision-making, and leadership in the field of EMS. Brinker Hoffman recently earned recognition as Paramedic of the Year, an honor that reflects not only clinical excellence, but also a commitment to professionalism, patient advocacy, and continuous growth. With a background that began far outside of medicine, Brinker brings a unique perspective to EMS, one shaped by curiosity, craftsmanship, and a relentless pursuit of improvement. David Manavi, a veteran paramedic and field training officer known for his thoughtful approach to patient care, leadership, and provider development. Throughout his career, David has helped shape new generations of EMTs and paramedics while earning a reputation for clinical excellence, critical thinking, and calm leadership under pressure. Together, they represent something increasingly valuable in modern EMS, providers who have not only mastered the technical aspects of the job, but have also developed the judgment, communication skills, emotional resilience, and professional maturity that transform a technician into a clinician. In this conversation, we explore what makes an exceptional provider, the strengths and weaknesses of modern EMS, EMS education, the importance of patient assessment and critical thinking, the role of technology and AI in healthcare, and the lessons learned from decades spent serving patients in some of life's most challenging moments. Let's get into it. All right. Good morning. Welcome, guys.
Good morning.
Brinker Hoffman and David Manavi, or Manavi. How would you prefer I say it?
Present. Oh, it's with Manavi.
Hey. What's the matter for you?
Hey, well, you call 911 today. Hey.
I appreciate you guys coming in on your day off and sitting down to do this podcast episode. And we're going to be talking about a range of topics here, from EMS education and preparedness of new providers to soft skills and human interaction within EMS. We're going to discuss a little bit about what makes a provider exceptional versus average, especially as the years move on. We'll talk a little bit about critical thinking and how AI and technology is rolling us up. And then we'll talk about patient assessment and clinical judgment as well. And we have a few other topics we'll cover. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to start with Brinker. So tell us where you grew up. Where are you from?
I've been in Georgia for more than half my life, so these days I just say I'm from Georgia. But I finished high school, so I came of age in Cincinnati, and I finished my university education in Kentucky.
Wow. Fantastic. How about you, Dave?
Ooh, I was born in Mobile, Alabama. It's a funny story. My father owned an antique shop in Atlanta and Oriental rugs. But there was all these other rug and antique stores popping up in Atlanta, and he says, I'm out of here. There's too much competition. So he went to Mobile and spent a year there, and I was born. And then some businessman said, hey, did you ever consider why there's so much traffic for antiques in Atlanta? And he went, oh, and he moved back. And so I grew up here since I was 2 years old, 1 or 2.
What got you into EMS in the first place, Dave?
Well, part of that is he died. My father.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just to jump into it, at 48 years old, he was immigrated from the Middle East. He smoked 3 packs of Cowboy Killers a day and Waffle House every single morning and a cup of coffee nonstop. I don't have a single memory without those three things.
We're not bombing that country now, are we? Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
It's okay.
And all the signs were there as a little kid. I even thought, like, Dad, you're coughing up blood. That's not right. And he said, no, it's fine. I'm not sick. I'm just going to white knuckle it through. And then he died a month later. And
Wow.
I think I was 11, and it makes an impression on you of like, oh, that was preventable. And I can help others to see those things and say, or the warning factors are there that I've seen since I was a kid, and now I have the understanding to know what they are and help those people.
Awesome. How about you, Brinker? What got you into EMS?
I studied performing and fine art in a university, and I had a long career in theater production. And then I just hit the wall. I couldn't tolerate being a second-class citizen anymore simply because I'm female, and I had to stop working in scene shops, stop building scenery. As much as I loved building things, I just hated everybody I worked for and everybody I worked with. So I had to do something else. And not to sound flippant, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. I got a job as a drafter at an engineering company because I obviously learned mechanical drawing and drafting in school, and I'd picked up computer drafting along the way, and so I needed a paycheck, so I picked up this drafting job, and it was very low stress and incredibly tedious. And I thought, I bet if I had some formal drafting education, I could get a more interesting job. So I went looking at the technical schools and just flipping through catalogs. EMS just looked way more interesting than computer-assisted drafting.
Yeah.
And
Tad more exciting.
And I'd been working in high-pressure situations since I was a teenager, and I was not unfamiliar with traumatic injury at this point, having spent that much time in scene shops and rigging and on ladders and stuff. And it just seemed like it might be a good idea. And that's not an extensive commitment of time to get into EMS. And I figured, pretty sure by the end of that first term, I'll know if I'm interested or not. And I was.
Wow.
And it still seems like a good idea, so I still do it.
So traumatic injury over TPS reports.
Right. Well, I mean, experienced my fair share of traumatic injury. So
Now, did you do any stage acting at all?
was not a performer, only the technical side.
Wow.
I paid my way through school building scenery. That was really how I mastered those skills, because that's what paid my tuition, despite all my grand plans of technical direction or design or whatever. Turns out what I really enjoyed doing was just building stuff.
Wow.
And I could make a living, quote unquote, building stuff. And so that's what I did, probably to the permanent damage to my father's soul after 4.5 years of scholarship to go to work as a carpenter for an unfortunately small amount of money.
Yeah,
You know
I
what?
loved it, though.
I should probably mention that you recently received an award, Paramedic of the Year,
Yes,
in our
I did.
organization. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And David, you were a runner-up, number 27, I think.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Congratulations.
Countdown. I'll get there eventually.
No,
Better
I'm
luck
just
next
joking.
year.
I'm just kidding. You're both exceptional paramedics. There's no doubt about that. And very fortunate to work with both of you and see you in action. You're exceptional providers. And it's one of the reasons why we had you come in here today. But let's talk about this. Are there any calls or experiences that stand out in your career?
So many.
That's a tough, when you've been in an EMS a long time and you ask somebody about a call that stands out, there's 1,000.
Yeah, but one came to mind yesterday, or I guess Tuesday on my way home. I'd been a medic for a couple of years, and from an EMS perspective, it was a non-event. It was a very simple STEMI. And the call, there was no obstacles getting to the patient or assessing her or getting her out of the building or performing any of the appropriate interventions or transport. I mean, it was all from an EMS perspective. It was a complete non-event. But this woman was such a good person. She was maybe in her late 70s. She was on her way home from her cardiologist's office, where she was told, like, everything's fine, but we'll schedule an exploratory cath. Someone will get in touch.
Yeah, you're looking good. Don't worry about it.
Right. And she had a syncopal episode at Walmart or Target or something like that. And her only complaint was weakness, just general weakness. And she had 3 millimeters of ST elevation in 2, 3, and AVF, and reciprocal changes in V1, 2, and 3. And she was so philosophical and calm and thoughtful in her answers, and participated in her own care with such grace and kindness. And by all rights, she should have been the most selfish person in the building, right? And she was so kind and so, like, welcoming of EMS. I mean, I don't know, she was so nice. And she stuck with me. She really stayed with me. She was so philosophical about it, but not fatalistic, like all the way to the hospital. And the irony of her situation was not lost on her. She found humor in the joke that was on her cardiologist in the situation. She was able to, you make a small joke and she would smile and laugh and participate in all of the humor that diffuses the tension in that situation. I've lived a good life. I don't want my life to end, but if it happens today, I have no regrets, and my affairs are in order, and I knew someday my body was going to fail, and I'm so thankful that happened before my mind failed, and I've never been a burden to my family. And so after the last couple of shifts where it was just so much drama and just constant verbal abuse, that sometimes that's the way your shift goes, that I call her to mind and remember her grace and her strength of character, and that knowledge that you can do the best you can with what you have and hope that you've left something good behind. And I've been a medic. I was a medic for maybe 2 years when I transported her, and I carry her with me to remember that not everybody is a pain in the ass. Not everybody is not going to want something without giving back. Not everybody is going to become their own obstacle to patient care, their own obstacle to their own health.
That's an enlightened person.
She really was. She was just so nice that I couldn't pick her out of a lineup. I don't remember her name. I don't remember her face. I would probably recognize her 12 lead, but I carry her strength of character with me.
Wow.
And let every now and again, when it's all just piles of woe, let her take a walk through my brain.
Yeah, I have to remember to call my dad when we're done here. Should probably give him a call. It's been a few weeks.
Right. How
Wow.
long has it been since I've heard from my mother?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that.
That's extraordinary. In Israel, in the last episode, told the story about a 12-year-old boy that had cancer diagnosis, and he was being transported home. And he spent the transport comforting his mom and telling her what a good mom she was, and he's going to be okay, and worried about his siblings. And God.
Yeah, and we meet so many people who are panicked or unhelpful or trapped in their own anxiety. And when you meet these people who are really well-grounded, it's important to remember them.
Yeah.
To keep that in your brain. That happens, and that's a thing to aspire to.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing.
So a call that pops to my mind as a juxtaposition to that one was, I hate to go there, but one of those so annoying and frustrating calls where I don't know what the complaint was, but we showed up to this elderly woman's house and said, hey, we're here to help. Why did you call 911 today? And with the greatest amount of entitlement and sassy anger said, hey, that's your job. You're lazy. Get to work. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. You called us to help, and we want to help, but you have to give me something to work on. It's like, well, just figure it out. I called you to figure out my problems. I was like, no, okay. All right, I do want to help this person. There might be something legitimate, even though she's a jerk. And I kind of want to just tell you what I'm feeling right now because we're 10 calls deep, and the last one was dying, and you just have an attitude problem. But having to maintain that composure and be like, no, you can be a jerk and have legitimate medical problems. So that always stood out.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And you're an extremely professional person, too. So, those calls they just make you better, I think, especially if you handle it well.
Working with the truly sick people is not that hard. Yeah. Working with the people who want to be the center of your world can be very challenging.
Well, and I think that's where the soft skills will make or break you. Mm-hmm. If you can maintain composure and calm and communicate effectively when others are not.
Let's talk a little bit about EMS education. And we're not EMS educators, but we see the byproduct of the education process and how prepared EMTs and paramedics are coming into the field. What kind of provider is the EMS system today producing compared to when you first entered the field?
That's a difficult question.
Very.
I think...
And I can speak from my experience. When I went through school, the amount of hours involved in patient contact time, and I did nearly 40 intubations in the OR before I got into the field. And when you got into the field, you were pretty confident, right, getting in there. And just during my clinical ride times, I should say, I did at least 2 intubations during that. So I was pretty comfortable with that procedure moving forward as a paramedic on my own. And right now, I don't think they require a practical examination anymore. Yeah.
And I don't think they get a lot of time in the OR anymore. And so, but there are also so many more tools available. There's CPAP in the field. There's capnography in the field. There's blood products coming in the field. There's a bit more education centered on those things now than certainly when I was in school, because we didn't have CPAP in the field when I was in paramedic school. By the time I finished paramedic school, it was all nitrates and diuretics and just do the best you can to get them to the CPAP. And we didn't have capnography at all. So there's a certain amount of pathophys that they're getting now in school that we learned after the fact, that we picked up just little bits at a time. But there does seem to be fewer required hours of clinical time as a student.
Do you think the providers coming out today, their skill set is as strong or stronger, or what do you think?
Stronger in some ways, weaker in others.
Yeah.
We had so many clinical, I think it wasn't a number of clinical hours. There was a bare minimum of clinical hours, but then there were a certain number of patient contacts. So in order to get all of those contacts, we all ended up having so many more hours in ERs and on ambulances. Just waiting for that one last guy with chest pain, or that one last person with a fall from 10 feet or higher. And so we spent so much more time in a leadership role, but with training wheels, dealing with all the people who weren't having life-threatening or limb-threatening emergencies, developing those leadership and management skills, those soft skills of getting through your day with the people who you did fall, you do have pain, but you haven't broken a bone. Let's work through that. Yeah. Or the I don't know what's wrong with me, you tell me kind of people. We spent so much time wading through that to get to the critical patients before we were allowed to even test. And there was all that practical testing we had to do, and there's so much less practical testing now.
And it was so stressful, man. Going through that, preparing for that and sitting through it.
Specifically constructed and designed to demoralize and humiliate. I mean, it's a grueling day.
Yeah, going up, when I was going through the school system and working as an EMT for several years prior, there was a very clear difference from the paramedics that had gone through a program in somebody's basement who could get it so you'd pass the test, and the ones that went through an actual technical system where they had a knowledge of anatomy and physiology and biology and all of these things, night and day. And so I think there's always been those providers that were pencil whipped through. And then there's those who want to raise. Right. Or they want the clout or the patch or the money, but they either don't recognize or don't care about the mantle of responsibility that comes on top of that. And I believe during COVID, there was such a major shift When I think back on where we really started to see a big divide was people couldn't go to clinical sites. They just wouldn't let you.
Right.
And of course, I went through the medic program in a technical college system prior to, got my associate's degree. Yay.
Yeah, I did too.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I did too, yeah.
Where it's not required in this state, but I said, no, I want to be a professional. I'm going to pursue that professional licensure degree. And to your point, yeah, 800 plus clinical hours in every imaginable, from ICU to ER to mental health to OR to so many on ambulances and with various crews and various teams. And it was all over the board. And so it lended to a wonderfully well-rounded experience and exposure into the different aspects of healthcare. And then with COVID, that all stopped. It was, you're going to go online and you're going to click some buttons and we're going to talk about it.
On the other side of it, we need providers in the field, right?
You can't
We have
stop
to staff
education.
ambulances. Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, you have to stop. You have to get more people.
Yeah.
And to that extent, the distance learning and the self-paced stuff is a boon. You can get so many more people engaged in a formal education process that could perhaps not do it. Because scheduling is always the tricky part, right? We were working 24/48s when I started paramedic school, and our class program was on a 24/48 schedule. So it was easy as can be to get to class. Halfway through that, our agency switched everybody to 12-hour California shift. So suddenly, to maintain a full-time work schedule, I had to work nights and go to school during the day. So then I had, roughly a year of living in my car. Well, went from work to school to a clinical site and back and forth and back and forth. And so that's the biggest obstacle still of getting through your EMT program or getting through an advanced program or a paramedic program is how are you going to work, which is what you have to do to be good at this and still go to school, especially if you're going to pursue a degree, which is always worth, if you can do it, it is worth your time. What you learn is totally worth knowing, but you've got to have the time to do it. And you're in school now, so you know exactly how challenging it is to do what you need to do to learn what you're learning.
Especially with the family.
If any commitment at all outside of your own head, and so that's always the big challenge. So the distance learning and the virtual instructor-led stuff that we can do even just for continuing education right now is a boon to the entire industry, but you do miss so much not being in the classroom with your peers or the classroom, particularly a classroom with like an interdisciplinary thing, like with nursing students or respiratory therapy students or physical therapy students or any of those people who are going into healthcare with a different perspective than you to understand better how to assess patients, how to communicate with patients. And you miss that when you're not in class, when you're not, you don't go to campus and sit down in a room with a bunch of strangers and start plowing through material.
From your perspective, do you think we're building clinicians or technicians?
A little bit of both?
There's a balance, for sure. I think both are needed. I think at its core, this is a technical job. It's hands-on. There's not great value in can you write a paper on angina. I need you to do a 12 lead and find out if I'm about to die in 10 minutes. That's the core of this.
You're right.
And so as a foundation, you've got to have that technical hands-on aspect. And we are certainly seeing where, to your point, Brinker, I think that the online aspect does open up that world of academia to so many more people. And I personally love online school. I'm a huge fan of it, but not at the expense of the hands-on. There's got to be a balance. And I think right now our balance is shifted towards more of the academia side, where people are not doing 40 intubations, but they can tell you all about the anatomy. I love that. But if you can't intubate when someone can't breathe, well, that's a dead person, and you didn't do your job.
Well, that's pointed.
And it's also very true. You have to combine the two. You can't just be, because a clinician is is not completely separated from technician, right? I think clinician, the difference between technician and clinician is judgment and understanding, as opposed to just completing the skills, just the physical mastery of these skills. But you move into clinician when you understand when you need to, when maybe you should, or when you absolutely shouldn't.
Right.
I think the difference, you can't remove the technical aspects of what we do because we are a hands-on, medicine is a hands-on field.
Right.
But move more towards clinician to that understanding and judgment. And when I was in EMT school, I remember spending a day in class discussing, is EMS a trade or is it a profession? And if it's a profession, what does that mean? So are you a technician or are you a clinician or are you a practitioner? Like, where do you divine the line? And what of that is the physical things you do versus your understanding of medicine and your professionalism, how you present yourself to the world and your peers and your patients.
You know, EMS is considered pre-hospital medicine, right? Mm-hmm. And we're healthcare. We're just a different element of it. Mm-hmm. And there really is a big push, especially the organization we work for, to move into that category and rebrand what we're doing as healthcare. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I agree with it.
I think so, too. I think your day in the ER starts with the contact with your medics. If that's where you're going to end up, if you're going to end up in the ER, your ER visit starts with EMS contact. And how we choose to intervene, what interventions we choose to do between the house or wherever we start and the ER should be based on what that patient is going to be doing for the next several hours, not the 15 minutes that we are in the truck with them, those next several hours.
Right.
So I see us as the Swiss Army knife of medical field. We have a whole lot of tools to do a little bit of everything, and some of those tools are used more than others. And
fentanyl, is that what you're talking about?
And you see where people go down grooves of comfort where it's like, oh no, I'm to your point of, are we transporters? Are we pre-hospital care? Are we the worst case scenario crew? What are we here for? And I strive to, use all of the tools in the Swiss Army knife. And I've seen people like, oh, well, we don't need to do wound care. That's what the hospital's for. Well, sure, but you can. You got a 30-minute ride. Help them out.
Plenty of time. Yeah. Our toolbox is not that big. You can get to the bottom of it pretty quick.
Absolutely. Well, think about like in the 60s and 70s when they were running the Cadillac ambulances, right? The only thing in the back was a stretcher and a sink to wash your hands. That was pretty much it. You picked the person up and you drove them. Mm-hmm. We are so far from that with the tools
far from that.
And the training and the education.
The pharmacology we have access to.
And it's fun.
It is fun.
It's very satisfying to be like, oh, there was a gash there, and now it's cleaned up, and they're going to heal. And, oh, your heart was like a hummingbird, and now it's normal, and you feel good. And you want to give me a hug? Sure, why not?
Very satisfying job.
You think the new providers coming in now are emotionally prepared for what we're seeing on a daily basis? Because it's a different generation, mostly younger generation, right? We're not seeing many 60 and 70-year-olds coming into the field.
Not many entered the field when I was the age that I did when I entered the field. So, yeah, we're a lot younger. And with the risk of this turning into a, kids today kind of conversation.
We're all of a certain age.
There are a lot of strengths that the younger generations have that my generation did not, and vice versa. There's a lot of things we are really good at that younger generations aren't. So I don't know that at 18, 19, 20, I would have been emotionally prepared to do the work I'm doing. 23, 24, 25, absolutely, I think I would. But I'd had a lot of life in those years to prepare me for dealing with other people's trauma and drama and life. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of the key. I was out of my parents' house at school at 17. I had a lot of autonomy as a child. I completed my degree, all this other stuff by 22. So, yeah, a lot of successful relationships, a lot of failed relationships by then. So I had a lot of life experience to draw on, and I think it's very difficult for anybody at 18, 19, or 20 to have enough emotional maturity or life experience to really be good at, and to have the resilience to do it for a long time. I think that's a kind of a tough call, a tough sell for anybody at those ages to do it happily. And that's the key, right? That's the key to a long and healthy career, is being happy in the work, having the emotional and physical resilience to make the compromises you need to make to do it again tomorrow.
So short answer, no, I don't think anyone's prepared for this. No, it's too weird. It's too varied. It's all the things of life. I have seen those who came into this as a second career, in their 30s or 40s, and many of them were either other parts of healthcare or public service or military, and they've dealt with enough of the weirdnesses of human beings to see how to maneuver some of the odd situations we get to. But for the most part, it's everything you can imagine, from sadness to tragedy to just the weirdnesses of different cultures, of different people, of different times of life. We just see everything. There's no way to prepare for everything.
That's true. There's no way.
And even now, after almost 2 decades, I still, every now and then, it's less and less, but it still happens. When you go on scene, you're like, what is going on?
Right. It's like, I don't have a solution for this.
There's no protocol for some of this stuff. Yeah. Or it's 5 protocols all smushed into one.
Mm-hmm. Any number of situations where, like, I don't know. I don't have a solution for this. I don't have any magic words to make anybody feel better. Like, absolutely nothing.
Wow.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about human interaction and soft skills and the importance of it in developing that in EMS. Do you think EMS spends enough time developing these skills like communication, empathy?
Yes, soft skills, I think, are very, very pivotal. And seeing people who are masterful at communicating is something to behold, especially coming from myself, it is not a natural skill for me. It's a learned skill. I did not have that. The quiet, awkward, diagnosed with autism gets thrown all over the place, but I have that paperwork. And just not understanding the motivations or the tonality or the posture of people, and on both ways, whether people have perceived me as being angry or hostile or upset when I wasn't, or myself not recognizing that a patient was about to fight because, I didn't understand that tone or posture, and how it's been one of the things I value so much in this life and from this career is learning those soft skills. But it took a long time and a lot of exposure and a lot of research and reading books on how to make friends and
how to win friends and influence people.
Exactly. Yeah. And then going out in the world and be like, I see it now. And then getting to practice that, and how thinking back on being on the early stages of my career and not effectively communicating to now, that was a really tense scene and everyone's cool as a cucumber now, because I've learned how to project confidence, how to stand in a certain way or project your voice so that people say, hey, we're scared and untethered. He's got it. That team's got it. And when we think of the types of calls, of course, it's everything. But the degree of truly life-threatening calls is the minority, thankfully. And sometimes things are on that edge where it's like, this could go either way, and that's where the soft skills come in, is did you get them to calm down where you could ask the pivotal question and they were of the right mind to answer it, where you could find that, this is a STEMI on top of anxiety, on top of whatever.
Right. Unless they're unresponsive or critical, I would say. Really, communication skills plays a major role in what we're doing, whether it's de-escalation techniques or just being empathetic. I think it's a huge piece of this.
Yeah, and I don't know that any program really spends enough time on the soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills, both verbal and written. And I don't know that they can, because you can't be in school for forever.
Right.
Like David does and has done. You've got to do that. You got to learn that. You have to, and you have to take it on yourself to learn that. Your education doesn't end when you get your EMT card. You have to continue to learn those skills, because I too not a natural communicator. This is skills that I learned and have spent a lot of time convincing myself that I can do it, and it's not going to hurt me to do it, to go talk to strangers.
Yeah.
You have to convince
Did you
them.
put anything up there?
Right.
Is that why it hurts?
Yes, they have to tell you things that they really don't want to tell anybody else, and that you have to keep private.
Yeah.
But you have to go wade in to do that. And so that's a lot of self-taught. You watch, you listen, you experiment, you try. Didn't work. You evaluate why it didn't work. You try again the next time. So do we spend enough time in school? No. Can we spend enough time in school? Probably not. It's really very much on you to perfect those skills, to appreciate the importance of those skills, and to put the time in.
And I think I'll tell you, they really do need to spend some time on de-escalation training.
Absolutely.
That is a big portion of what we do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is not easy, and you fail most of the time, no matter how hard you try, no matter, best of intentions. It's very difficult to de-escalate and keep it that way.
Right.
Not let it get out of control again. It's very hard.
Well,
And there's always somebody that shows up that just undoes everything you just
Yes.
did. Everything you just did.
Well, one thing that took a while to learn, that sometimes the best thing to do to de-escalate is to be a calm and secure presence that just doesn't say anything for a while. Just like, I'm here, I'm going to make eye contact, and I'm going to wait until you're done, and then we'll talk. I mean, you just anchor in. And of course, reading the situation when it's appropriate, the value of a hand on somebody's arm. Just hand, skin on skin often will bring people out of that loop of oh my God, is this a tragedy? Am I dying? Am I okay? And you can say, hey, we're gonna make sure, we're gonna find out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look, we did all these things. Look, we're helping. We're doing all of these things.
Yep.
Do you think a provider who completely lacks these soft skills and the ability to de-escalate, maybe they're not as empathetic as they could be, did they become toxic as providers, do you think?
I think they certainly have the potential to become toxic. They have very little potential to become effective, less potential to become effective than to become absolutely toxic. I mean, I think they're more likely to become a toxic coworker than they are patient care provider, but I think very little potential to be an effective patient care provider.
Yeah, I think as a foundation, you've got to know how to use your tools, know your protocols, know your equipment, know how to do the job. But if you come in there with the scowl, with an awful look on your face, and you instantly set the ground of, you're not a friend, you're there to do a job, not to help. That's felt, and just because you can identify that cardiac dysrhythmia, if the patient doesn't like you and won't let you put them on the monitor, it's not going to work, and you failed to help them.
You can identify the problem, but you can't effectively communicate it to the people that you need to hand this patient off to in very short order. Then the patient care is going to be interrupted in a potentially fatal way. You have to be able to tell other people what's going on in a clear and concise manner. And you have to be able to tell your patient what's going on. If they're freaking out, there might be a reason why. And if you can't articulate to them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the results of that, you are not going to de-escalate their anxiety. You're not going to get them to participate in their own care. And, that's the goal, right? To get the person participating in their own care so that it can keep going when they get to the hospital.
Well, and we can go down that nerd rabbit hole of, their fight or flight is activated. Their adrenaline is going through their veins. So that's going to throw off all my vitals. Before I can get an accurate picture of what's going on, I need to calm them down.
Right.
Sometimes you can't, but that should be part of your assessment is, are they calmable? We say that with kids. Oh, do they respond to their parents? Do they calm down? Is it stranger danger? Well, you should be able to go into reasonable people's homes and be able to say, hey, we are here to help. You can trust us. And then we can get an accurate baseline that's not
Somewhere in that first
white coat syndrome.
Yeah. And somewhere on that first page of your paramedic textbook, your EMT textbook, somewhere in there it says, be nice.
Yeah.
It says, be nice. It's part of your job. You are on the clock.
Yeah.
Be nice.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
I'm sure y'all have seen that to be crass, that sticker that used to go all over the place, which I'm here to save your ass, not kiss it. And it's like, okay, I mean, there is truth to that, but that doesn't mean you're going to be a jerk to everybody unless they're dying. And some people are. I'm only here for emergencies and nothing else. Like, no, that's not the job.
That's not 90% of what we do.
Exactly.
No, the other sticker that's more popular right now and more to the point is do no harm, but take no shit.
Yeah.
I like the one I've seen that says, don't suck.
There you go.
Yeah.
There
We
you go.
don't want to do that.
The
when
secret to success in any profession you have is don't be a dick.
Those are both better stickers. Yep.
Any profession you choose, that's the secret to success. Is just don't be an asshole today.
Yeah. You mentioned exceptional providers. So let's talk a little bit about average versus exceptional providers and why or how do some providers become exceptional while others remain average for decades?
There's the saying I like that some people have 10 years worth of their first year of experience.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a choice I will continue to better myself. And that's not just in a professional sense, but in all senses.
And what you were saying earlier is you went and actually studied and learned how to communicate better, to be better at your job. I love that. That's what we should do. As leaders, I can't tell you how many books I've read on leadership and programs I've taken to try and be better at it.
Because you have to maintain, develop an elasticity of mind, right? You have to continue to be interested in the work that we're doing, and not just the continuing education that keeps your certification. You have to find something interesting in that continuing education that maintains standard of care, but keeps you interested, keeps your curiosity piqued.
A holy curiosity.
Right.
Maintain a holy curiosity.
Right, and not just in your professional life. You also need to look for new things to learn in your personal life so that your mind remains agile and elastic, because that's the thing that allows you to monitor your changing scene situation while you're securing an airway and make a connection with somebody whose perspective is completely alien to you, and understand your patient's tragedy without it becoming your own. So that's how you enjoy your career and have a long and healthy career, is to have a very active and curious mind, to keep learning something. Even if it's not medical related, keep learning something. New skills, new games, whatever it might be, so that your body is learning new things and your brain is learning new things.
Do you feel that is an internal drive in someone, or is it something that can be developed?
I think it can be developed. You have to be willing to make that effort. If you don't want to, there's not a lot I think you can do to convince somebody to do something they absolutely don't want to do.
Right, yeah.
But if you have any part of that drive in you, nurture it.
Dave, what do you think? Is it mindset, work ethic, humility, curiosity? What do you think is the big driver there?
I'm going to say all of them. It's all of everything.
I left leadership out.
That too, and to various degrees for different people. We all have the things that we have naturally and the things that we have to work on. And part of introspection is recognizing those. Some people I've known are phenomenal, far exceeds myself with the academic knowledge, but maybe the soft skills are lacking, or maybe just that presence of seeing is lacking, or maybe one thing we see with a lot of the newer people is, oh, I'm a straight A student paramedic. I'm going to be amazing at this. And you don't know which way that the cords go. And so they're in a big wad and you tangle and now you're tripping over it and you put that on upside down. You need both parts.
Yeah,
Have some humility.
Yeah, if they won't let you in the house, you're not going to be able to read that 12-minute.
Yeah. You don't actually know where your CPAP equipment is.
Yeah.
You can't do it, can't use it if you don't know where it is or how it works.
Yeah.
I have a very academically intelligent partner who I believe is a doctor now, and he didn't know how to put the bed sheet on the stretcher. He didn't understand it. And I remember standing there watching him, and he was holding the sheet up, and he would unfold and refold, and he said, where's the vector that I start from? And I was like,
vector?
Oh. And I was like, all right, future doctor, just throw it down there and flap it out. And it didn't compute. The bridge was out.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
And I haven't checked up in a while. I do believe he is a doctor now.
He's probably very good.
Oh, I bet he writes a banger of a paper. And then he can hire someone to make the bed.
Yeah. Gosh. What do you think of the traits that consistently show up in providers that are continuing to grow throughout their career? Because I would put you two in the elite category of providers. ADHD?
Yeah.
Is that okay.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't hurt, certainly. This is one of the few professions where it does perhaps help you out.
Yeah.
And we all have, I don't know a good medic who doesn't have some OCD, just a little bit somewhere, you know, that drives you forward, drives you towards efficiency. But curiosity is very important. You have to continue to want to know. You have to continue to want to solve the problem, to work the puzzle.
Yeah, you drop off that case at the ER and you're really maybe not absolutely sure of what it was going on with that patient. Communicating with the staff there and then doing a little research on the back end to be more familiar with it.
Yeah, and
That's curiosity.
Yeah, most of the time we don't find out, but shouldn't prevent you from continuing to ponder the problem and have access to the world of information in our pockets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do a little reading, check it out. Somebody, more times than you can count, somebody's going to rattle off the acronym for some weird syndrome that 1 in 50,000 people have, and they're going to look at you like you're stupid because you don't know. And you're going to have to do a little reading and file that away and try to remember it for the next time you meet the 50,000th person.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the pluses to these amazing computers in our pockets now is I've never heard of that. Okay, I can get a summary in 10 seconds.
Give me a minute. Let me look.
And then go back to, all right, ABCs, because that's what I know.
And that's the more pressing need right now. I don't need to understand your entire history to sort out your airway perfusion problem.
So let's talk about AI and technology versus critical thinking. How is AI, Google, protocol apps, ChatGPT, and any type of decision support technology changing in the development of EMS providers?
It's certainly an expanded tool, but all tools, if you use them as a crutch, can certainly be harmful. But I think there's great potential to.
I think it helps
increase.
decrease cognitive overload.
It does. It absolutely does. But it is not a substitute for learning and retaining information.
At this point in your career, you can walk through the door and from the doorway know whether that person is sick or not sick pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Certain life-ending conditions that you walk in and say, oh, I saw that once, I'll never forget it.
Yeah. You can tell based on how the person is sitting, the I want to say skin color, but I'll say the flushness of the skin, right? Their work of breathing, right? You might even see an artery and the temporal artery pulsing at a very rapid rate.
Right, hugely distended jugular veins, all of that stuff.
And you kind of know whether you need to stop moving with a sense of urgency or not in the course of treating the patient. You don't get that stuff from Google.
No, you get that stuff from doing it, from just looking and talking to patient after patient after patient.
Yeah.
And the trick with the search engine in the AI is you have to ask the right question.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're asking, know what you're looking for, so you know if what you're getting back is what you need. So that's why it's not a substitute for actually learning and retaining information. You can use it as the reference for the stuff you don't use every day. You don't necessarily need to absolutely hold every drug calculation in your brain. The ones you're going to use almost every day, you need to know. There's no shame in, like, on the way to the call or before you give the medicine, checking your math.
Yeah.
Look it up, check it. That's what you should do.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think, though, that as a provider, you really got to know your protocols. And there are going to be some you'll rarely ever touch.
Yep.
Reference that on that occasion, right? You don't want to make a mistake.
And to that end, you have to review your protocols periodically, even if they haven't changed. If you realize something comes to mind like, oh, I haven't looked at that in a while. Guess what? It's in your pocket. Look at it.
Yeah.
One of the practices I like to do with any new partner is anytime we run a call, say it's an allergic reaction, whatever the outcome is. We had one with a 8-year-old boy. He had a known peanut allergy, ate peanuts. He knew what to do, went to the clinic. He got his EpiPen. It was fine. We showed up. We weren't needed. And after that call, I took my partner, brand new EMTA, and I said, okay, we are going to pull out this book, back when we had books, and we're going to go down every single possible scenario, and we're going to pull out every drug and every syringe, and we're going to calculate it, and we're going to look, okay, where does that look like? Where is that on that syringe? What syringe? Pull out the syringe that you would hand me, and then show me. And it reviews for me, and it was for him because he was brand new. So some of this he had just never gone over because whether it wasn't in his scope or they brushed over it one day in class. And so I've done that with many partners, and it's a wonderful review for the medic and often an introduction for their EMT partner. Mm-hmm. And so next time when it is worst case scenario, oh, hey, we did a mock run-up of this. I know what tub it's in. I know what package looks like. I know what the vial is. Here's everything you need. And it runs smoothly.
They get that wonderful boost of, I do know what I'm doing, which is the big joy you get in your first year, right? You're like, oh, I do know how to do that.
Yeah.
This entire first year, just understand you're going to feel like you don't know what you're doing until you do those things and you have that wonderful moment of, I do know how that works. I do know what I'm doing. And just give yourself a year to revel in that.
One day it's all going to come together
right.
and you'll be like, wow.
Yeah. I just the first year you're going to feel like an idiot, and you're going to learn over that first year that you're not.
One of the best days I had was I was shadowing an RN in the ER, and a respiratory therapist or tech saw me and said, "Oh, you're a medic? Okay, you might be doing this in the street someday. Follow me. I've got 5 kids with asthma. I'm going to give them some treatment. You're going to give them some treatment." And it was great. I learned so many just of the fine techniques of, no, you don't need to unscrew that. You can do this. Oh, here's an easier way to open that vial. Oh, great. And the hands-on part that's where I got a large part of it. And then give that to others.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do need to do that ourselves and for our new partners, because the trick to effective emergency medicine isn't speed, it's efficiency. It's having those little muscle memory tricks of how to open things and where to find things and how to draw up things and how to administer things. And then you have to do the paperwork later. So how you document those things, how you make your notes for your own memory, and how you're going to get your ambulance ready for the next call, how you're going to restock everything. And those little tricks of just efficient use of your hands, critical to success.
I don't want to figure out that we got a new supplier for a particular drug and now the vial is a different color when someone's dying. That's not the time.
No.
Or different concentration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I had one relatively new EMT who had a full-time partner that was somewhat salty, shall we say. And this was their first EMS job. And so that partner had called out. They came to work with me for the afternoon. And in the course of just gabbing and talking, and they said, "Hey, you seem to know what you're doing. Can I ask you, how do I draw up meds?" And I was like, "What do you mean? You don't know how to draw up meds?" It's like, "Yeah, I can't talk to my partner. They're just so mad all the time. It's like, and I feel embarrassed. Just how do I? And I was like, oh, well, you put some air on the syringe and you tip it upside down and you inject and you pull. And they're like, oh, my God, thank you. They never showed me in school because we were just memorizing things. And they didn't show me in clinicals because we didn't have as many clinicals. And my partner's been doing this too long and they hate their life.
Let me ask you, we use the Life Pack 15s here. How often is the man in the box right when it comes to identifying a STEMI? Or person in the box, I should say.
Call it the man in the box.
And so it's wrong. You can just be like, dang man. So opinionated.
Typical man.
Typical.
I
Beeping and hollering.
I'm very confident and comfortable in my own gender. You can use whatever words you want. It's not going to offend me even a
You
little
are
bit.
confident.
I have the privilege of being perfectly comfortable in my own skin. You can use whatever words you want. It doesn't bother me a bit. How often is the guy in the box?
Do you even pay attention to
Most of
that?
the time, I do. I mean, I look to what they say. I look at the EKG and I look at what, I compare the two. And frequently, if what the machine is saying doesn't match what I'm seeing, I'll just repeat everything to make sure that it wasn't just some weird artifact
Yeah,
or something.
I do
But
the same thing.
most of the time.
What's the man in the box seeing that I'm not seeing?
Yeah.
Right.
What's his algorithm?
But if you're running a 12 lead because you think it really matters, then running 3 or 4 in a row is to your best interest anyway. Because,
Yeah.
as you know, a couple of movements of the toes
I'd say
can confuse the robot guy.
80% of
Yeah.
the time, pretty often. Yeah, give it solid 80%.
Certainly for STEMIs, not always for other things.
Yeah. Where do you think AI could really benefit the field provider in EMS?
If there was some way to upload med lists and, gosh, for some of the medical calls where they have polypharm and multiple paperwork or multiple pages of health problems, and you're like, gosh, what is this? There's so many possibilities. Do I have a medication? Of course, we go basic first of like, well, how's your airway? Are you circulating? But then
The average nursing home patient is on 26 medications.
Right. And sorting through that to look for the dangerous interactions or the stuff that contraindicates what you might need to do, that would save you a lot of time of like, okay, hang on, let me read.
yeah,
And there is charting software now that can access patient charts at hospitals and allow you to look and pull certain information from those charts. Obviously, it doesn't give you everything. But if you don't have information on a patient, you can, at the scene, tie into that and pull some information so that you know what's going on.
Well, and having worked in systems where you could, if you can get a name or a partial name or the last four of a social and pull up, oh, here's their medical records. Oh, you've been to the hospital 5 times for the same thing. Oh, here's your meds. Here's your allergies. That's so helpful because sometimes they can't tell you. And all you have is a medical bracelet from the last time.
Right.
You can't assume that your patient knows or understands what all those medicines are for.
Yeah. Now, we talked just a few minutes ago, I was talking about being able to determine whether a patient is sick or not sick from the doorway, right? And there's certainly, I think, an art in patient assessment. And it gets better. Obviously, if you're focused and you're spending time on it, it improves over the years. But do you think that is disappearing in EMS?
You mean the ability to determine sick or not sick?
Or just the art of the assessment, because we have so many tools now, and a lot of providers are hesitant to put their hands on a patient to check injuries or even pulses, or they rely on the technology that we have to do a lot of that now.
True.
I don't know how you're getting an accurate picture of your patient's condition if you don't touch them, if you don't put your stethoscope on their skin or put their hands on whatever hurts.
Such an easy one is edema. It's just like, hey, pull, look at their ankles.
Right.
Pull down the sock. What kind of edema are you going on?
Oh my God, yeah, look at their feet. You can tell so much about how well a person is cared for or caring for themselves by the state of their feet.
Yeah.
And people, well, they're walking irregular. Like, yeah, they've had bilateral knee surgeries. Did you check their knees?
Right.
If somebody's complaining of leg pain, you got to touch the leg. You got to look at the
You
leg.
got to look at the leg.
Yeah.
You got to look at the leg.
Is it hot? Is it cold? What color is it?
Is it the same length and shape as the other one?
Yeah. So I
That's a big one right there.
Move the pant leg. Look at the leg. Take the shoe off. You got to touch them. A lot of them are gross, but you got to touch them. It's why you have gloves. It's why there's soap and water available for you at the hospital.
Yeah. Well, and I think to that point, you have the sick or not sick, and I think for some people that's where it stops. It's like, oh, well, they're sitting up talking to me. They're not about to die. It's fine. We'll give you a ride. It's like, no, do an assessment.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm so glad we got the first most important part that they're not about to die done. Now let's look for things that we could find or we might be able to help or treat or the amount of skin tears. I tell everyone, look at the elbows and the knees, because when Grandma falls, she tries to catch herself, and she lands on her elbows and knees. And so many skin tears go unseen, untreated. They get infected because no one looked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so many of our patients are geriatric, and they have you rack up medical problems as you get older. If you live long enough, you're going to have a lot of medical problems and potentially be on a lot of medication. And the complaint isn't necessarily going to be, it's my asthma. The complaint is going to be, I don't feel well. The complaint is going to be, I can't stand up well. I'm unsteady on my feet all of a sudden. And if you don't touch them, you don't look at their feet, you listen to their lungs and listen to their heart and their bowel sounds and all these other things, then you're not going to be able to figure out what's wrong. And are they stable enough to make it to the hospital without you doing that? Yeah, probably. Are you going to save them so much time and effort in the ER if you collect some real information? She doesn't want to be in the ER any more than you want her to be in the ER. She doesn't want to spend the day in the ER. She doesn't want to spend the week in the hospital. Mm-hmm. and Grandma's pretty clear on the dangers of undiagnosed and untreated injuries. The loss of her mobility is probably the loss of her life. She knows that. You should know that.
Yeah.
And you need to do the work. You owe her to that.
On the topic of technology and how it can help and hurt, I had a woman who was, I believe, in her 60s, who was called 911, convinced she had cancer. And she said, I've been losing weight, and I'm tired, and I'm wasting away, and my energy's shot, and I've done my research online. I have cancer. I'm finally come to terms with it. I'm ready to go to the hospital. And it's like, gotcha. Did a doctor diagnose you with cancer? It's like, no, I looked online. And I meet all the symptoms. Put her on the pulse ox, and she's at 86 on room air at rest. Gave her one listen to her lungs. It sounds like someone's blowing through milk. And I said, honey, you have pneumonia, and you've probably had pneumonia for a month. You should have called us a month ago. And lo and behold, yeah, she got a chest x-ray. She got an antibiotic. It's not cancer. And so, yeah, technology is great, but then it is a tool, and in unskilled hands, sometimes you get some goofy results.
When Brinker said a few minutes ago, legs can be gross, it took me back to a call 20 years ago. And I'd come into the office, new paramedic, and the oncoming crew arrived early, and they jumped this call so I could go home. And the next day, the medic says to me, man, it's a good thing you weren't there, because we pulled back the bed sheet, and it looked like two dead dolphins laying in that bed, the legs. Two dead dolphins. That will stick with you. Just the image in my mind of what that would have looked like.
I very rarely will just drop a call on my partner. Then it's like, it's all you. Almost never do that because it's my job. And I don't want, if it's unpleasant for me, if it's unpleasant for me, it's unpleasant for everybody, right? But there was one, it was a dialysis patient. We were picking him up at dialysis, and I could see across the room his feet and his legs. And I turned to my partner like, I'm sorry, but this is you. Like, I'm not. I will not. I will not.
It is.
I could just see the edema up well above his knees because he was wearing shorts. And I could see the skin sloughing off his feet, falling off his feet. And I was just like, I can't. And I could smell him. And we got him to the stretcher, and we got him out. And he sort of slid down in the stretcher during transport, and we got him out. And there's layers of his skin on our oxygen tank. And I was just like, I'm really sorry that I have to do this to you. But this is you. I'm totally dumping this on you, and there's no conversation we're going to have. It's like I am playing my leader card right now, and I am assigning you this task.
Well, that's a rite of passage as the low man on the totem pole. Right?
Yes, exactly. To have something really gross to do because somebody else just doesn't have to.
I went into a house, God, many, many years ago, and it was a hoarder's house. Mm-hmm. And they had 6 dogs. And you open the front door, and it hit you like a frying pan in the face, the smell. And I turned to my partner. I said, I'll set up the truck, bring them out. Hey, it's Jason Falvey. Thank you for spending part of your day with me here on In Service. If something from this episode hit home, maybe it reminded you of a call, a shift, or a hard lesson learned, follow the show, and please send it to just one person and ask them to follow. Now let's get in service.
Mm-hmm. No, I had a partner who was pregnant, and all these situations where I could have pulled that card, but I'm like, I can't send her baby in there. I'm going to have to go in. I'm going to have to leave her out here and go in there and do this without her.
Wow. So what does emotional resilience and psychological durability actually look like in EMS? David, what do you think?
I categorize things into what is sad and what is tragic. And I think that longevity of maintaining our sanity when we see some of the things we see is to recognize when someone in their 80s passes away. It's very sad, and the family is going to miss them, and we as providers are reminded of our mortality. And then what's tragic is when the 22-year-old drives off the road at night and hits a tree. And we see that the passenger is dead on scene with his head through a tree, and the driver is got a head injury, and there's a 30-minute extrication because they're about to fall into a river, and we can't go down there because we'll fall into the river in the rain at night, and everything's mud. And when you get them out, and you just hope, God, how much of your brain is gone as we're just standing here and there's nothing we can do. And it's absolutely a tragedy. And to recognize those things, and then to say, all right, well, I can let go of the sad stuff. I'll be sad. That's just part of being human. And the tragedies, well, I think you have to accept the grief and move through it and find the happiness in life. And that comes with curiosity. And find your hobbies. Find the things that you love. And so many people forgive me, I'm going broad, but so many people put their entire identity into their vocation. And I think this is a wonderful vocation, and it's certainly one that I've gotten so much from and am so glad to be a part of. But if that's all that you are, you're one bad call away from, it wasn't that was a bad call, it's that you're bad. It's like, no, sometimes right. Tragedy happens, and there's nothing that can be done. And then recently I added a kind of a third category in my mind of there's the sad, the tragic, and then the Darwinian tragic, where it's like, yeah, that shouldn't have happened, but it's kind of your fault. Like you were driving drunk on a motorcycle with bald tires in the rain. Oh, yeah, this should not have happened, but you made choices. And
I love your choice of word, vocation. There is a calling, I think, to this profession. I believe that.
Sure. You have to be committed to doing something useful. And you get a lot out of it. It's very satisfying to do something useful. It's very satisfying to fix things.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying to solve puzzles, and to not just for yourself, but for the people who don't have the answers. And you've got to find that satisfaction so that their tragedy doesn't become your own.
Right.
And it gets harder. I think it gets harder the longer you're in it. Because as a new EMT, I saw the bad and the sad and the stupid. And every now and again you see some good, but mostly it's sad and stupid. But it's also new, and you're learning what things are, and it's the first time you've seen that. And then, 20 years in, 22 years in, wherever I am. And my parents are older, and my family's been through whatever medical problems they've been through and all that other stuff. And the depth of that tragedy, the depth of that sad is just easier to see. It's easier to understand. So you spend a little more time cleaning out your own brain, compartmentalizing carefully while you're on shift, and then emptying out all of those compartments when you get home so that you can enjoy your work and find the satisfaction of doing good without being one bad call away from the end of your career.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned, because we've discussed compartmentalization before. How much does detachment apply?
It's critical.
Yeah.
You can't get through your shift if you can't detach from what you're seeing and what you have to do. Because you have to do some stuff that's really very unpleasant for your patient.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to cardiovert somebody, they're not going to enjoy it. But you've got to do it. You know, you've got to do it.
Especially if you don't get the sedate first. They're not going to like it.
They're not going to like it. And, you know, you have to, I tell patients this all the time, like, you don't have to like me. I have to do this. You don't have to like me. It's fine. Don't feel obligated to even thank me for it. You have to be able to detach from all of that and compartmentalize it, because you have to get through your shift, and you have to get through the shift the day after that. And if you can't, if something bad has happened and you have to stop your shift, that's fine. It's reality, and we have to accept that,
Right.
and everybody's going to step up. But I can't count the number of times when my 12-hour meat grinders turned into a 14 because somebody went home and levels were low. Yeah. And so you've got to build up those calluses. You got to be able to get through your day, and you've got to develop the coping skills to empty out all those compartments and enjoy your life. Live your life and enjoy your life. You have to be able to separate work from everything else.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think to your point, in the moment, somebody's potentially dying. We have a duty to act and to save them if we can. At times sometimes nothing can be done, but then to put that aside and get the job done, and then later say you have to deal with grief. Otherwise, it will. What's that saying? Emotions repressed are later expressed.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard that. That's a good one.
I didn't see that sticker. No.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Those tragedies, those that I think we all carry with any amount of time in this field, and to recognize that, sometimes they don't go away. I've got those. It's kind of an odd byproduct of being in this field for so long, where, especially working in somewhere that I live, driving down the road, and you think, oh, I remember that fatal car wreck. I remember stepping over the brains on the highway over by that exit. And if you don't have coping mechanisms to say, no, that was awful, but that's then, it's not now, to accept that there is sadness and tragedy.
Yeah, and the horrible humor we use to cope on the day between calls, and you have to keep that with you and try not to let it infect somebody else in a negative way. My husband and I are house hunting right now, and we were talking about the commute from a potential property to work and which road it was on. And I'm like, oh, you got to cross Death Bridge. And you went, what? You don't need to know about Death Bridge.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
That's forget I said that.
Yeah.
It's Death Bridge to only just a few of us. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Or Murder Park. Let's go to Murder Park.
Well, and I think if you can get those coping skills, life is all the more beautiful. To be faced in a very direct and intimate way with the finality of our lives, and to see from birth to death and everything in between, and to have that acute awareness of, oh, I see where I am and I see where this can go. I better enjoy the ride. I better find the things that bring light and beauty and enjoyment.
That matter.
Yeah.
To take an active role in that.
Yeah, back to whatever her name was, who had such grace in the face of her heart attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just to approach everything with a certain philosophical grace and strength. That, develop those coping skills, man. Grab onto them with both hands.
Yeah.
And I think it's, in that situation, Brinker, I think it's a case of, you're going to live with this or you're going to deal with it, one way or the other.
Right.
Avoiding that doesn't
solve it.
No, doesn't even come close.
And if it's good, that's great. If it's bad, it's not helping.
Yeah. You've been in EMS long enough, you come to learn that sometimes calls just don't go well. They just don't. There's so many people involved. There's
Right.
so many possible things that can happen.
Even when it goes right, there's no guarantee of a positive outcome. You can run your STEMI perfectly. It can be textbook. Everything can go exactly right, and they still can die in the cath lab.
Yeah,
Sickness is sickness. It can't all be reversed.
right. Right.
And one that, to bring things down, sorry,
Yeah, take us down, Dave.
one that
All this happy nonsense.
One that will live with me forever is we had a 2-year-old that was murdered, as awful as that is.
I think I remember this.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Absolutely. And I know that if there was any chance of saving that child, we would have. We did everything. Everything went smoothly. Everything went right. All of the interventions, we made the blood go round and round. We made the air go in and out. We did all of the things. And brain damage is something we can't resolve. And so I take comfort in knowing that all that could have been done was done.
Yeah.
And we did get that child's heart started again, but again, the brain damage was irreversible. And after that, I think our psyches are so good at keeping us safe that for an extended amount of time after that, I felt rather numb. And it's a weird sensation to just be like, I know this is insurmountably horrible and should never have happened, should never have been seen or done, or so many awful things. And one day I was listening to music, and I remember the song. I was just sitting at the computer checking emails and listening to music, and all of a sudden, floodgates opened. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the tune or the pitch or what, but it was just like, oh, you're going to grieve right now. And I probably cried for 20 minutes, maybe longer, I don't know. And it was like, oh, thank God, I can feel again. But I have to get through that. I've got to get through this colossal pain because it's just been walled up in there.
Yeah.
And to recognize and then accept, yeah, you know what? If you're in this field long enough, you will see some awful things, and give yourself patience and grace and say, you know, you're going to go through the process and the feelings. Don't fight it. Give it time.
You couldn't imagine. You just couldn't. You love your children so much and you want the best for them, and it just doesn't square, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. And I know you did an exceptional job. I don't think there's another medic alive. Maybe Brinker. But I don't think there's another medic alive that could have worked that patient and gave them every possibility of making it than you.
Well,
You're
and
just that exceptional, Dave.
we had a great team. I had an amazing EMT who is now a medic, who's doing good things, and all of the stars aligned, all the things came together. And so that I know I can sleep at night saying we gave every chance possible. And sometimes there's nothing you can do.
And unfortunately, that's the very hard reality of the business we've chosen to be in.
And so I have great concern for some new medics where they either don't have all those protocols memorized, and it's like, gosh, you know, sometimes there's a bad outcome even if you do everything right. Make sure that you've got all the tools and know how to use them.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself as best you can, and it's on you. It's very much on you. Your education is the foundation on which you are going to build everything, and you have to build it. You can't just show up and expect to become good at your job just because you show up. You do. It's an active process. It's very much an active process. And if you're just showing up, but you're showing up long enough, sooner or later you'll see a certain amount of things and you'll have picked up a certain amount of things to have improved, but you're still kind of new. If you're still new 3 years in, we all start new. It's staying new that is the problem. And you hope that EMT programs and paramedic programs, the curriculums themselves, are rigorous enough and stressful enough and hard enough that it's going to help people who are not suited to doing this or who don't really want to do this. to realize that before they have committed a career path that they're not going to be happy in.
That's one of the things that I am concerned about on the topic of people who do the aptly named Zero to Hero programs, where they treat it purely as an academic and not a tech hands-on job where, oh, you got all A's as a medic, but you've never worked in the field. You've never had to deal with mourning families and dangerous, make sure the scene is safe. What does that mean?
Where's
I can tell you where it is in the flow chart, yeah, but have you been in it?
But where actually on scene is the danger?
and I worry for so many of those, and I worry that they took on that responsibility without fully internalizing what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I did an episode titled Zero to Hero with 3 providers, and one of them was telling us that it was 1.5 years he was scared to death.
Yeah.
Because everybody turns and looks at you for what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he's got to go forward with that.
Yeah.
Right?
You are, by national standard, EMS command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to step up and do it. And not being suited to EMS or not being prepared to make the compromises necessary to have a long career in this field it's no negative reflection on you. There's a lot of other industries to work in, and it's not a judgment on anybody as a person, but if you don't have the temperament for it, or it's not what you thought it was going to be, then you owe it to yourself and everybody else to make a change. There's no shame in that. Just admit that this was not what I thought it was going to be, or actually I'm not happy doing this and I should go do something else. And it's just go do something else.
Yeah.
Well, and to that, we seem to see several groups of people who either use this field as a stepping stone, where they get into it, they go through the EMT program and they spend 6 months to a few years, and then they move on to PA or nursing or just something, or they decide, no, this is not for me at all. They get out of medical, or they use it to go further into more specialized care. And then there's a handful of I think, us weirdos that stay around for that 10 plus years.
We've settled.
Lifers.
Yeah.
We've settled.
And those are some interesting folks to get to know and meet. Every holiday, the family, hey, how's work? I'm like, I will tell you, I don't know how you're going to receive it.
That's right.
It's like, I can eat my turkey around this conversation. Can you? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, my standard response is, work is work. Or, we're not talking about that today.
I get asked that question when I go home, and there are just some days where it's all a blur because there are so many things that happen during the course of the day. And it's like, where do you even begin?
Right. How much do you even remember? How can you separate? I had a day that was just sepsis all day long. It was just like everywhere we went, somebody was septic. And at one point, late in the afternoon, one of the doctors at the hospital very kindly came to me to give me an update on the patient, which it's very rare and very kind thing for him to do. And I listened very carefully, and I honestly couldn't remember what patient. I didn't know who he was talking about. It was like, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm like, I have not a clue who you're talking about. I had no idea what you just said, but thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to give me more than the 80-year-old gentleman you brought in, because that doesn't really narrow it down.
Which one?
Right, exactly. Which one? Can you narrow it down for me today?
Yeah, and we've had days, wow, I think not too long ago we had 9 of them in one day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a busy day.
Or it's just
I can't tell you what day that was, what month it was in, but it was not too
long ago.
Not too long ago.
Yeah. I just listened to the radio all day long. Oh, another one.
Yeah.
Clearly, this city is no place to live today.
Yeah. So let's switch over and talk a little bit about leadership, scene command, and how inexperience can impact that. So what happens when an inexperienced provider takes command of patient care or a scene before they're truly ready?
If they're lucky, they are successful. If they are unlucky, most of the time, then chaos ensues, and we all have to start rebuilding relationships with each other and our partner agencies and all that stuff.
Beware the confident fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because around here, anyway, we work with multiple different fire agencies, and we have to maintain and build those relationships. Because we rely on each other.
They're our partner agencies.
They're very much our partners. And when overconfident and undercompetent takes a stand, you damage those relationships.
Yeah.
Because everybody can see what went wrong. Everybody can see the chaos that is ensued and has to struggle through the chaos that is ensued and see where negative outcomes originated. And that's not to say that new folks shouldn't step up. New and inexperienced providers should step up.
Yeah.
But you also have to be ready to listen to the feedback in real time and accept the help that somebody's giving you.
And where many departments, specifically a lot of the different fire departments, they have very clear, oh, that's the captain, that's the lieutenant. Go talk to them. They're in charge. And where it's, oh, there's the ambulance. Is this somebody who's right out of school, or is this someone with decades of experience? And that can be hard to know. And so when we do have that camaraderie where we work with the same people over and over again, it's night and day, where you show up and nobody really knows, and they're looking to see what your patch is versus, oh, Dave, you got it. Go get it. What do you need?
Yeah.
We're here for you. I'm like, fantastic.
Many of the phone calls I'll get will be site calls where maybe the provider on scene is struggling to determine competency of the patient. And one of the things I often say is, what is fire saying? What are they giving you? How are they reading the situation? Because you need to factor that in. Because it's not always obvious. And sometimes patients fall in this middle ground where they seem okay,
Right?
Yeah.
but
Well, and on the idea of, as you have here, on momentum on scenes where tensions can run high, obviously, with certain types of calls. And I know for myself, I still try to reevaluate. I know I'm standing here and I'm thinking of the next right thing to do. What is the outcomes? What's the procedure? What do we need to do? Where I get worried that, is that perceived by the team as being apathetic and just standing there? And I think that there's a way of maintaining that presence and without just standing there staring off into space, being like, hey, give me a moment. Whereas I think for some new people, if they're just sitting there thinking, and then you have a team of amped up fight or flight adrenaline is pumping through their veins, we've got to go. And it's like, whoa, hold on. Let's think before we go. Where are we going and why, and what are we going to do there?
Right, or the opposite, where everybody's perceiving this as a not their problem situation and they want to go, but you think you need them to stay. How do you communicate that without imposing upon them? I just wait here, give me 10 minutes. Because I think I know which way this is going, but I could be wrong. You know?
yeah.
We had a situation not too long ago. It was a site call. And she was clearly delusional. She was also not engaging in any risky behavior. She was not an immediate danger to herself or to anyone else or to anyone's property. We got called out by a third party who had a conversation on the phone with her. And so she can't make decisions for herself, but by luck or whatever, divine intervention, she's making good decisions.
Seems to be answering all my questions.
I did take a minute. I convinced PD to get the crisis center on the phone. So get a licensed practitioner out here, a psych practitioner out here who can do a 1013, because we can't, and she's not breaking any laws, so PD is disinclined to take action against her. And they wanted me to call a doctor to get orders to sedate her and restrain her. I'm like, okay. So I made the phone call, and I'm like,
how did that go?
Well, no, I had no expectation of getting orders, and I was very clear about that. I'm doing this. The cops want me to talk to you. I'm talking to you. This is the situation. And the doctor was like, I can't 1013 her based on that. I'm like, I know. I know. And I'm just trying to get everybody to just like calm down and let me see what I can do. And we talked to the woman for about an hour, And she's still cheerfully deluded. She's not in any danger. And so I can't convince her that she's sick.
Cheerfully deluded.
Right. And I can't convince her that she's sick. I can't convince her that she's in danger.
So that's the episode name right there.
Cheerfully deluded. But we hung out until PD got an ETA on crisis center to show up. And then we're like, okay, we can hang here and we'll just like corral her a little bit until crisis center shows up. You can go. I'm like, that's great. That's fine. Because we can't force an intervention when she's not in any danger. And I just needed everybody to calm down and step back and give me some time to talk to her, to see if I can identify what the problem was. And we could identify what the problem was, and I could identify that there was nothing an ambulance could do to resolve it. And to go back to them and go, okay, thank you for waiting. This is what I need you to do. And this is how I'm dumping this in your lap. And I'm sorry about that, but you're the only people who can do anything about this. And we were as diplomatic about it as we could, and they were as upset about it as you might think. But, you know, like, this is not a problem EMS can solve. So please just wait till we can verify that, okay, no, she is not hurting herself. She's not threatening to hurt herself. She hasn't hurt herself. She hasn't destroyed any property. She hasn't destroyed her own property. She's spent some money online, which was clearly poorly advised, but I can't hospitalize her for wasting her money.
Had a few where they were known schizophrenics and they called 911 for unknown reasons, and we show up and they don't want to talk to us. I'm like, he's at his home. He's in his apartment. He's safe. I'm not going to break the door down.
Right.
I don't know why he called me, but he doesn't want to talk, so I guess we'll go. I turned to PD. He's like, is there a reason for us to go in there? Not that I can think of. Not legally.
Right. Or your engine company's waiting and like, well, do you need us? I don't know. Can you just give me 10 minutes?
Yeah, this guy yelled at me from the balcony. He said, go away. I'm not talking to you. I was like, you called me. I'm on the radio. Like, he's on the phone waiting for EMS. I see him. We're talking. He won't let me in.
That's frustrating.
What do you do in those situations? Gosh.
Diplomacy is what you need. And we don't get a lot of training in diplomacy.
Yeah.
You just got to learn it on the fly and hope for the best. And when you realize you haven't got it, hope someone else on scene can see another way in. You know, I've said it tons of times, like, anybody else got any ideas? I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to try. Anybody else want to try to make a connection? Please help me out.
I default to, are there any obvious imminent life threats? Well, no? Okay. I guess we'll go.
Yeah. So if you could change or redesign EMS from the ground up today, what would be one change you would make?
I can think of individual things where if certain things were across the board, we try to make our protocols standardized across different agencies, and so that certainly helps when running into other crews and other teams from different departments, just so we can
It's
all...
county to county, agency to agency, those can be different.
State to state. Huge variation state to state.
Yeah.
You cross a county line, and there's a regular in this county, but they come here for the first time, and they've got chronic issues. We don't know anything about them. I've walked in the hospital, and crews, they're like, oh, is that so-and-so? I'm like, I don't know. I'm new here. It's like, we've been picking them up for 5 years. I guess they wandered. I guess they found the bus.
Let's get them back on the bus. Get them back over there.
Right. Happy to bring them back to your county.
Is there value in watching someone else perform under pressure?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
When I think back on things that have shaped the way that I handle scenes, I think of a handful of providers that are ingrained in my memory forever. From that early age, that's one of the ways that we help bring up our new medics that want to improve, is to see, here's the goal. This is how you do this job safely and effectively. And there's something very, I think, holy about that, to be able to connect with people in those worst times. And one of those people is Brinker over there. I see your eyes over there. She might deny it. Paramedic of the year. And as an FTO for many years, where I do get the brand new EMTs and students and medics, my criteria is often, as a father, if my child is injured, do I get to put down the mantle of medic and be a concerned father? or do I have to get to work? And I've had both. And so Brinker's one of those people who took care of my daughter. I don't know if she, yeah,
A long time.
when she was having a seizure. And yeah, one of those people where it's even their mother said, "Oh my gosh, the medic was great. She took charge of the scene, and I was not worried." And we've also had the opposite. I won't name names, where people have showed up and was like, "Oh gosh, okay. Step over. I'm taking this ambulance. I'm controlling the scene. You're not in uniform. I don't care. I know the equipment. Move over. You chart. Go talk to the doctor on the phone about the whatever. I got this." I've worked with you when I was an EMT.
We shared a truck for a while.
Yeah, when I was going up through medic school, and I was like, oh, this is the presence on scene that makes all the difference of, is this chaos or is there cohesion?
Wow.
Calm and cool under pressure, and then a systematic approach, which is very much needed.
One of the first medics I worked with as an EMT, one of my first full-time partners, just super friendly individual, right? So she was friends with everybody. Everybody was happy to see her. And that, seeing how easily a scene could de-escalate and the chaos would ease and settle just by showing up and being friendly and everybody being happy to see you. And so you kind of, to strive to do that, to watch somebody just be friendly and sort the problem out, and like, oh, I bet I could probably do that.
Yeah.
I bet I could probably learn to do that.
Yeah.
And just be nice and be friendly, and everybody will be pleased to see you, or at least not disappointed to see you.
Your disappointment never works out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And how quickly that calms the waters.
Yeah, it's great to have those algorithms that we go over and over in the school setting, but those are a fallback, and a wonderful fallback. But to have somebody, a skilled practitioner who really knows how to deal with the family, deal with the traffic and the team, and call in report while starting a line, while doing, it's an amazing thing to see.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen many that I've strived to be that way, and I think I've been blessed to have achieved that, so some of the new people have said. So I'm like, oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful compliment when one of your peers says, like, yeah, you did that. That was really well handled. It's a wonderful compliment.
What is a solid difference between a cookie-cutter medic that goes down their protocols and someone that goes above and beyond, and when you can really make a difference sometimes by doing that. And so the mantle of responsibility that is getting your paramedic license, and that it is not simply a degree with a bunch of grades associated with it. It is, are you going to go the extra mile and look for things? Because if you don't find what you don't look for. And so a call that came to mind is we had an elderly woman. A call came out as a shortness of breath, a man with shortness of breath. And we show up to low-rent apartments, and it's an elderly woman at the door. And we say, oh, you called 911? Yes. Like, for short of breath? Yes. Are you having trouble breathing? Yes. Like, okay, do you want to go to the hospital? Okay, let me get my purse. She wanders back into the apartment to get her purse, and we cancel our backup. Yeah, no, the notes said not breathing, gasping for air. I'm like, I don't know where they got that from. Cancel, we got this. We're going to give her a ride. But partly from experience, partly from like, hey, curiosity, partly, he's got a little bit of an odd feeling. I follow her in. So let's take a look around. Let's make sure the apartment's safe. Let's make sure she's got food in the fridge. These are low-rent apartments. She seems a little bit too eager to say yes to everything. We're going to do our due diligence. We'll take a quick look around. And so, like, all right, that's fairly well organized. Nothing too obvious. Let's straighten out the rug so she doesn't trip when she gets back home. And just pen light peeking in the rooms just to make sure everything's okay. And that's when we see her husband collapsed in the corner, blue and guppy breathing. And we go, back up.
Wow.
Grab everything. We got to get to work. And it turns out that she has dementia, and the husband has COPD, CHF, and he was in full-on respiratory failure. And I don't know if he called or she did. She probably did call. And
After that, lost the plot. Couldn't track it.
that was it.
Yeah.
And so if she didn't go back in to get her purse, or if I had just waited at the door, well, Hubby would have been dead. And I don't know when that would have been found.
Wow.
And so that, when I think of what is the mantle of responsibility, right there. That we
Yeah.
saved him, we got him breathing, we got his sats up, we got his color back to a human color, an alive human color, and everything worked out.
Because that
But-
is probably the primate care that woman has.
They married for decades, and
Yeah.
he takes care of her, and his body's going and her mind's gone.
Yeah, and if he had died, she would have followed pretty quick after.
Absolutely.
No care at all.
Yeah.
And so just that simple act of, I've had newbies like, why are you looking in their fridge? You don't know what you're going to find. They might need adult protective services, or hubby might be dying in the back room.
Wow.
So, happy ending there.
Yeah. Gosh.
Change that about EMS generally. If you have a serious condition and pain, don't ignore it.
Well, and
You're going to deal with it one way or another.
Like, why did you wait till this was everybody's problem when a week ago it was only your problem?
and that intuition and training with the soft skills can be so instrumental, where we had a woman who came out as a seizure, fell in the bathroom, had a seizure, was witnessed. And when we get there, she's sitting up. She's not postictal. She has no history of seizures. And she is convinced that it's food poisoning. I'm like, how do you get there? And so in talking with her, she says, oh, well, I had a mocktail at lunch, and I think it was the additives or the spices, and that's probably why I fell, and I don't know, I didn't have a seizure. I don't know what you're talking about. And we get her on the pulse ox, and it's at 84, and denies any pain or any issues whatsoever. And then with that experience going down and saying, you sit a long time for your job? Yeah, I sit for 10 hours. There's no obvious swelling in your legs. Have you ever had blood clots? Yeah, I had a whole bunch of PEs a few years back.
A whole bunch of.
I'm like, oh, let's talk more about that.
What number gets you to a whole bunch?
Right. 1, 2, 4.
And she wants to keep telling me about her lunch and how it's food poisoning. And I'm like, I respect that you're so concerned about the spices in the mocktail. I need to know about those PEs you used to have.
So don't care about your lunch, ma'am.
And it was confirmed. She had multiple. We got that chest x-ray follow-up, and yeah, she had a heparin drip and a stay in the ICU, and she's going to make a full recovery, but not if we kept talking about lunch.
Yeah, that's never what you want to hear. And you're like, oh, yeah, she had a ton of clots. A ton of clots. Can we quantify that?
Let's put a number on
Let's
that.
put a
Christmas
number
tree
on,
right there.
right, on a ton.
It's definitely not what you want for a present under the Christmas tree.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
And there's Aubrey in the background. Hi, cheerleader.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming in today on your off day, and we're going to be back at it again tomorrow.
Hopefully
Appreciate-
there's useful stuff in all of this.
I think it was a really good conversation, and you're both exceptional providers. I'm very fortunate to have you on my team. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to In Service, the EMS Podcast, where frontline experience meets leadership insight. If you have found value in this conversation, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. You will find links in the episode notes.